Saturday Showdown, Hanwha Life Esports versus T1.
You can also do the Mantra Inspire and just turn Pyosik into a rocket, and then he can start fights for you. Because a lot of the issue with what DN Freaks have put together now is that there is a decent lack of engage opportunity. With a slight range advantage in the Caitlyn, they might be able to mitigate it, and you can then, you know, throw equalizers around and you can guard areas with traps. But I think this is doable. I think that there are a lot of things that can be worrying here for the DN Freaks. See what happens. We dive onto the rift. And feeling the hurt. And if this lane does get outranged, you can find yourself in a little bit of trouble.
Yep, absolutely.
Nicely,
I think
when Becomes Lightning will come through and actually immediately follows up, just does a bit of damage here.
in the LCK Cup was just something else.
And that was when we did think that Aurora was completely broken, as, speaking of which, Closer is going
Oh man!
Oh my god, he just can't miss!
Okay, you're definitely resetting. Important. You know, we talked about the bot lane already being behind. I think Closer being able to add some reprieve makes a big difference. They will secure that dragon as well, which is crazy. You know, you can obviously understand why, because that mid-priority, but crazy how badly the bot lane has gone, and yet they managed to pick up first dragon.
Yep. Positioning your AD carry in mid lane, you're not getting that sieging value as.
Yeah, that's the damage I'm talking
God,
about.
the damage, yeah. Probably going to have to back away. Polar's been having a rough couple of weeks here in the LCK, and it seems to be continuing somewhat, as I think that he's also going to get interrupted, as we see. Oh,
there's a scenario where they just pop the ultimate.
Well, there is another Mantra Q to land on towards Hype. Doesn't do too much here. As you can see, they're still able to. They are going to push this wave in. It's another cannon. This is at least a plate, but they might even just be able to get the turret.
I think take a plate now, don't need to overstep yet. Get some more poke in.
Kind of bananas, and Hype down to 200 aggressively. You've got a rotation down here as Pyosik to move in, but the immediate engage, crash into the wall is Humbug, does have access to the ulti, as there's the Impale, but Pyosik still in trouble. Fate's Call gets a double knock-up, and Pyosik with a whole bunch of sticks in him, gonna get them ripped out as Hype grabs himself first blood. Much needed money. And he got soloed to like turret gold as well, getting first brick. Like, yeah, it's still huge.
It was a needed injection of gold for Hype, but it doesn't drastically change what happened in the laning phase, and the fact that it's
his way back with his first item done as well, but I don't know whether it's going to be quite enough.
Yeah, I think the item timings are actually good for Bro to fight. They're just not there in time, and with the trap line set up, no way to get in.
Does have a cannon to deal with. I think Humbug wanting a bit of extra damage to go down onto this Azir, and let's see whether this is the overcommitment that they're looking for as Emperor's Divide comes down. Doesn't manage. Not really finding too much joy. Teleport in from the Rumble. Let's see whether this equalizer is going to work out or whether he's even going to use it. The rest of Bro just backing away. They've got a blast cone here if they want to utilize it as Hype gets flashed on here by Pyosik. Not a lot of follow-up, but there is the equalizer that we were looking for. The flash out, the bailout is there, and Pyosik is going to get taken down. Polo actually getting the kill somehow. And Morgan, ace in the hole, flies through, but that's not going to be nearly enough.
In brute force to find positioning on the dragon.
Teleport advantage at full force here as Polo possibly out of position. Ace in the hole, and he's almost dead, flashing pretty late as the smite fight goes over to Humbug. Nicely played by the young players. Closer is, going to have to go across the Veil, but I don't know whether that's quite going to be full safety. Just not quite fast enough is Dudu.
Bro can find an angle to loop round. They can definitely contest this one.
Yeah, Closer looking for an angle here as Bulldog takes half of his health bar. It is going to be the Rift Herald secured by Pyosik. Humbug a little bit late as he moves in. Still wanting a bit of a fight here as we can see. Polo, Fate's Call, pulls him in. The flash out from Life, but he immediately gets public executed. Morgan looking for an angle here. He's got the bailout and he uses it. Still is going to go down as Emperor's Divide gets a little bit of safety here, but it's a good handshake as Hype not able to get over the Sand Soldiers. Still 2-for-1 trade, and you'll take that. DNF have been playing the map very well. They still have a gold advantage. Hasn't extended at all as Dudu now looking for a bit of an opportunity here as the wave is against him. And the Rift Herald is now going to be thrown down. It was in fact Bulldog that had that one, but the Voracious Otacon has been started. Dudu and Morgan fighting one another, and the Flame Spitter comes up, gets the flash out from this Ambessa, and Dudu has teleport available.
And Morgan doesn't.
Yeah. This is a huge deal. Humbug looking for an opportunity here to try and take them down. He does still have his ulti and decides to go in onto Bulldog, utilizing it here. But Dudu with that teleport is going to turn up. And now they have the extra life. They are going to be able to get the recall, but that is going to be a kill from Pyoshik. And finally, DNF come alive. Hype just trying to send as many of them back home as he can. But he is going to be taken out himself. And that's a kill going over to Berserker.
With that fight, bro, are looking to contest this. This is risky, though. I mean, they have TP from Morgan, and Bulldog's top without TP, so maybe a mismanagement from the DNF Freaks.
Yeah, that's a teleport in. That is going to be soul point secured there by Humbug, and it's because Bulldog's not there. DNF do back away, which I think was smart, but the fact that they had to is the problem.
It is ludicrous that with this gold lead, oh
dear. Okay, Pyoshik going to get a crash into Morgan. Another public execution going to stop him from pulling him back, though, and Morgan actually finding the angle onto Dudu. Pyoshik's very tanky, but Closer does so much DPS. They take down the Kalista, though. Another recall is forced. Bro are limping away, but they're going to do so successfully as Berserker's health bar is blinking. But remember, they're only 200 gold as they're walking towards the Bros. Closer's still looking for that angle, and they do manage to pick up that 200 gold from Life. And as far as the money is concerned, and now, Bro, all they need to think about is playing around Dragon over and over again as Closer does get a lot of damage onto Life, but now Bro find themselves in an awkward position. Polo not going to get bailed out of that one, and that's DN Freaks managing to get a pick.
3 items from this Kalista, giving Berserker such confidence, but also just, you know, no Kalista ult available to save Polo from that one. Closer doesn't connect his abilities onto Berserker.
Aaron.
They're doing so much damage here. They're going to have to try and take this fight 4v5. Without the Renata, it's so hard.
Well, in goes Humbug. He finds the ulti as well. Life in a bit of trouble, but there's the equalizer down. A flash out from Humbug gets him to relative safety. They've stopped the Baron, but at what cost? A 2-man impale! And both Morgan and Hype are on the floor. Bro now having to escape from this one, and DNF will go straight back to the Purple Worm.
Not going to let their previous mistakes rattle them. DN Freaks take control, and playing around these 3 items on Berserker, they've got such confidence. They set up for the Baron, and they will be able to secure this. This gold lead was already large.
The defensive Dudu as well is certainly going to be helpful. So like you were saying, I don't think that Bro have, you know, too much to worry about here, giving away a second Dragon here.
You're in a dangerous spot, so I don't think DN Freaks need to hard force this.
Well, Closer looking for an angle here as he flashes in, gets over to the other side. He has some one-on-one time with Berserker, but he gets a huge shield, and another crash here onto Morgan. They take down Humbug, but the Impale does absolutely nothing. Berserker's just free hitting, though, taking whatever he wants and their lunch money. Hype running the wrong direction, and the DN Freaks are looking like they're going to crush the Bros here in Game 1.
And, you know, it wasn't a flawless game, but I think the player who was flawless is Berserker. You know, they gave him the Caitlyn, confidence into the Kalista, and he's just dominated from minute 1. Hype, yeah, this is kind of summary of how the game went.
Yeah, that's some mechanics there from Dudu, pressing the Q button and walking near him. And Nexus turret's going to fall. I thought the Bros composition was nicely put together. I thought some of their fights in the early game were pretty good, but DN Freaks, they controlled the map.
앞에서 죽이시죠, 저랑. 탑으로 가면 끝날 듯? 오, 쉣. 끝내자. 빨리 필이야. 목골? 죽었다. 아이, 야. 너무 쳤다. 왜 던졌다, 내가 좀. 괜찮아. 아, 갉아먹어야 되는데 버스트를 내버렸네, 내가. 천천히 이겼어, 한잔해. 천천히 안 그럼 내 돈 5,300원 혼자해. 바텀 타워피 보니까 근데 든든하긴 하더라. 잡으니까 뭐야, 바텀?
Not so much. Closer had a bit of a lane advantage against Bulldog, but it's not so significant. And we look, you know, there was some mistakes from Bro, sure, but for minute 1, they were kind of on the back foot. And then even when DN Freaks made mistakes, you never really saw that much of a dip in terms of their gold, you know?
Yeah.
Rel and
the self-counterpick instead of trying to counterpick.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's still, I think the matchup is still playable, but I think ultimately, Team Comps as a whole, I think Brion is super happy, you know? I think Pyoshik had some struggles game 1. He's now playing, in theory, into like Talia Wukong. So much CC on the side of Brion. I think they're really happy with the matchups across the board. You know, we came out of game 1 like, you know, Berserker needs to win bot lane, and he did, and that allowed them to take it. But this game, I really feel like Brion have the edge.
I mean, 100% I would have proposed. Don't you worry.
What a shit.
As it is now time for game number 2, my wedding gift. But Dudu has also had some great games on the Aatrox. This is not, you know, a phenomenal matchup one way or the other. I think a lot of it's going to come down to the hands and brains of these top laners. We'll see how it does go. As here, Hype and Polo are just really happy to be able to kind of play the game.
Yeah, I think it was quite clear game one we didn't get enough Bro taxes.
Yeah, I think so too. And now all of the Bro fans who all in on Bro, as you would, have no channel points. So Bro tax is going to be really difficult to pay. So
Yeah, they need to find a sponsor to cover their Bro tax.
well, Closer is slurping up all of that Bro tax. And
Back in return. Closer again though, you know, this is fresh off recalls and TPs. And already Bulldog is gonna have to recall again. This face is certainly a decision.
It is.
Not going too well. And now we do see Pyoshik starting up the Dragon return. So we actually saw one grub taken by Hambach, and he's now beelining down. He's not willing to make this trade, and I think this is the absolute right call, especially
dive towards this Dragon himself. Pyoshik now moving down towards the bottom side, does have his Gromp now spawning, but I think he might try and contest this, but full vision is available here for the Bros. And Polo is in position. Out a wave, is looking to rotate over, but it's a little bit late. Shattering Strike gets a beautiful double stun, but the Pulverize is going to stop the Crashdown from doing anything. Spry's delivery here, his life's going to have to flash away. Hail of Arrows comes down, and Humbug's making his way. Piercing Arrow is gorgeous from Hype. As now Closer finds himself in trouble, but it's another gorgeous seismic shove, getting Pyoshik out of there, and Bulldog has to use a very defensive ultimate. In a lot of the games that we've seen from Bro.
There's a lot of LCK players you could talk that way about.
Yeah, it is a good point. And honestly, if things are going well, then you're generally going to look better, but Closer is certainly never scared to make... Oh, this is feeling dangerous.
Well, level 6 hit.
Yeah, Magnustorm available. Remember, Hype does need to flash and does do so to get himself out of the way, and there's the special delivery. Polu! Who is this guy?
Great, and now looking for a kill on the top side.
Bro, just unrelenting. Closer going to be tanking this one up, but does find the shove and is able to walk it off just right. We'll see whether he can get there by the end. I think there's going to be need for some positivity as we move forward. Their mid-games have been the more difficult parts.
Yeah,
as far as that.
Sometimes some questionable decisions as, looking for...
the disengaged cone. But Polu is going to be able to find an angle. There's another Pulverize. And Humbug on top of the Rel. Life comes at you fast, but this time he's going to be going down, although managing to flash away. There is a teleport coming in, and finally he falls, but the fight is on for real. Pyoshik going to go down sort of sadly, and Bulldog looking for an angle here, but Humbug's over the wall, finds that Warrior Trickster, and Bulldog is on a side of the map that he doesn't really want to be. He's going to get smoked, and another Nimbus Strike should spell the end of him, and there he goes. That's a Bro win if ever I see one. Game so far for Pyoshik, sort of unceremoniously dying in the last team fight, and that's been the contribution.
Yeah, you know, I talked about how this was going to be a harder game for Neferi, and also Neferi is the pick.
For the Bros, his control ward goes down, Pyoshik doesn't find the daggers.
I always judge people who don't pick up Cinders and don't pick up the flowers. You know, we see a lot of the pros just kind of ignore them. I really doesn't resonate with me, but Morgan, he knew he was there, what he was there to pick up.
I mean, the Lord understands. He understands where the value comes from. As Polu does manage to headbutt Dudu away, but now he finds himself in an awkward spot. Flash out, and he's going to take the northern exit. Life just crashes towards him, and it's a little bit of a comedy here. The Unbreakable Will up and available, and Polu can just headbutt his way out. What is... Polu is just running him around the map. And in the meantime, the Rift Herald is taken. Humbug crashes it into the mid-outer turret, and Closer is on an inner turret in the top lane.
If they just let this go, kinda. So they're trying to find Closer here.
Yeah, Weaver's Wall, and he just gets himself out. Finds himself in an awkward spot as he jumps off the wall, as Humbug's looking to re-engage. And speaking of engaging Polu, he's going to be not finding too much joy because Pyoshik goes untargetable. Still, Seismic Shove's good onto Life. And now the Aatrox turns up to die. Hype just takes him out. Sometimes you teleport and it doesn't work, and that for Dudu was one of those times.
Look, I don't massively agree with the decision to burn your Ariel to try and find Closer, but I get it, right? You're behind, you want to try and find a pick before the fight because you're not confident in the fight. But once the pick fails, why'd you still fight? That's my question. I think DN Freak should have just taken that as a memo to get out of there.
Shield done, Ghostblade there as well. 2 items already completed. Berserker still looking for that second spike as Pyoshik looking for an opportunity here. Dominus from Morgan. And we've got Rel making her way down. Pyoshik still going to be able to continue the chase. But Morgan, I think he might be out, although Dudu does chase after him. There's the slice, but there's no dice. Doesn't matter. DNF just have to back away, and they'll lose an inner turret for it.
Survive that one, and the tower structures getting taken down here by Bro in return is devastating.
I think they really wanted to get that one, and now Life once again out of position because Closer does a drive-by of the objective and looks to kill the Rel. He'll have another seismic shove as he's not getting out of this one. That's Hype with another kill. 5-1-2 now on this Varus. And they'll just take a Ruinous Archon. They'll grab themselves a bunch of experience, some adaptive force. My God, the Bros are really upset about how game one went.
Just such a slick transition, able to move, get these towers after the play fails bot, and then also pick up that kill on the Life, also get the Archon. Feels like Bro are in complete control of this game. Night and day.
Yeah.
Compared to game one.
This is just prominence.
Absolutely prominent.
We started this game with bromance, and we end it. It's never over until it's over. It's a 5,000 gold lead, but that is not, I guess, end of the world. It feels like end of the world, though, as Morgan wants to take down a Grump and is going to be able to do so. And Blastcone gets him and Dudu out of there. Life looking for an angle. There's a teleport to come in. Magnet Storm invested, and maybe this time they can kill the Lord as he gets interrupted, knocked up, and taken out. And that's going to be Bulldog that collects the kill.
Why don't we just stick some Hextech on a cow and see what happens?
Yeah, I think that's what it is. And then it's Polu's Alistair, and it does this on Summoner's Rift. Charm not going to be followed up, although a bit of damage there. Still, Closer is going to be A-OK. Morgan and Polu just keeping the rest of them out of there, and Bulldog is in such an awkward spot. Dudu looking for a flank. Hype, what are we doing there? But he's missed by everything, and Bulldog is still being chased down while the rest of the team is making sure nothing happens. Hype finds yet another angle and just pierces this Ahri. Life's now in trouble. Not going to be hit by the seismic shove, but it doesn't matter. Magnastorm also does absolutely nothing, and Dudu's still trying to find a flank angle, and he's just not going to be able to do so. Pyoshik, no way to get in either, and that is going to be Infernal Soul for the Bros, and the science will be experienced.
I was a little worried that the DM Freaks might all 5 of them go down and the game just ends without the science. No. Science wins here. Thank you, Jace, for your contribution.
Polu taking a bit of damage here, and it's looking pretty real, as now Dudu dives in, almost manages to steal it, but no. It is Humbug that locks that one down with his smite. Polu very late ulti, but he's still going to look for Pyoshik. He's surviving for so long, and he's able to get out of there. Still, the Rel takes down Humbug. Morgan trying to do something, and they're fishing a barrel. Hype, just finish him off. Just one Q, and he is dead. But Bulldog's going to be able to take down the third. Still opposition, he should be all right. As Chains of Corruption connecting. Do we get it charged up? That's a lot of damage as down goes Bulldog. Nowhere to run. As Polu happy to tank up this turret. Hype going to be able to take it down. That is the pick they were looking for, and they're utilizing these couple of Barons for their last 30 seconds. And look at that, the Rebel Baron power play ticking over towards 700, and at least it's positive, you know?
Absolutely managed to pull it back towards the end of it.
Flank angle from Bulldog. Okay, he's out of the fountain and immediately back into the fray as in goes Hambach, and he finds Berserker in the backline. Gorgeous engage, no Rel this time, and Bulldog turns up to his whole house being on fire. Oh no, it was a Donald Glover angle if ever I've seen one, as now Pyoshik has to go back to his fountain to try and lick his wounds, as doggos do tend to do. And oh God, he's straight into an arrow, just skewered himself. Oh dear, that is going to spell the end of these Nexus turrets. The science victory is going to be concluded here as the Bros bring us to a Game 3 and a chance to win the series.
And you know, coming into a day of the LCK, you look at this.
아래 진짜 디테일이야. 그냥 앞으로 오자 이거. 아래 진짜 디테일 빠져. 오케이. 앞으로 봐줘. 내막 해줄게. 야 포르기 나왔어. 아트 봐봐 이거. 아트 봐봐. 아트 마무리 줘. 나왔어. 야 라피드. 야 아트 잡고 바텀 라인 살려. 바텀 라인. 미드라인도 괜찮아. 끝내자 이거. 미드라인으로 올래? 그냥 타워쳐 끝나. 아리 이제 집이야. 나가. 나이스. 한번 잘해보자. 스파너 좀 못하긴 해. 우리 살짝 발원대 정도? 너무 우왕좌왕하나? 그냥 할 거 하면 되는데 콜이 자꾸 이상하게 나와 얘들아. 그냥 다 벌어주고 있는데.
He had the full boom potential, but Closer was really running the map. He put Bulldog in the ground in the early game.
Yep. You know, I feel like there's some games you get a decent amount of value on Slayer when there's 5 champions with dashes.
Yeah.
Feeling pretty good about this.
First one. That's cool. This has been cropping up quite a lot in the LPL. I think yesterday Hysterics was tweeting out saying that there were at least 2 of them. I think Flandre playing one of them as Aurelia, a possible option. As of course, you can reset the Q on the ghouls.
Yeah, this was the old school counter
Yeah.
that every Yorick player hated playing into.
I was one of them. I used to, old school Yorick was my favorite, man. W max AP Yorick. Oh. Instead, it's going to be Fiora. And this is some vintage Morgan. Morgan would just go off on his own and win games in side lanes on the Fiora. But this champion has historically been not good in competitive play.
I feel like the composition for Brionne is so volatile, you know? You have this mid jungle, which is obviously strong, but also like Pantheon, if he falls behind, pretty underwhelming. Fiora, who, yes, can be a late game menace, but typically in the side lane.
How to feel about this lineup here for the bros?
It's a fun one, though.
It is. And it always is. Let's get into game 3. They were like, well, we're really struggling to work out what Dudu is going to do. And so they just played out that way. As Dudu is, speaking of which, is going to be finding some graves and things like this, smacking things down. A lot of cats in the top lane.
Yep. Always a pain trying to fight the Yorick with the Maiden up.
Yep.
The thing is, it's just so powerful because a lot of the times in top lane, when you ult, it's like, okay, like imagine like a Renekton or a Fiora or an Aatrox, you're ulting to get power in a fight immediately. But Dudu just has Maiden up.
Yeah.
And you're not, as a Fiora, you can't go up to it and kill it. You can hunt him down in the side lane if we end up having a situation where the AD carries are left bot. But for now, we see like Bro managing
having a champion that is so good at split push really sort of pushes a different opportunity for like a different win condition we're going to have to pay attention to. Of course, Fiora, another one of those examples.
Handback making a mistake there by taking a grub and not letting DNF have 6 grubs. You could have had the 80% win chance.
Now you only have a 23% chance of winning the game.
What is done? What an error. Did you not see the statistics?
Oh, God. Disastrous. Lost more plates as Bro on the second dragon of the game, and goodbye Pioshik. So that is going to be second dragon of the game secured. Life now getting pushed back as Close are going to get knocked up. There is his own ulti. Oh. And just going to back away. It's fine.
Did the flash? I think the flash might have lost vision for Closer, and the ult went on cooldown anyway. Because normally,
yeah, that was really
if you
weird.
lose vision as Nautilus of the target you're ulting.
And Morgan, oh dear. Berserker not allowed to be here as the grand challenge comes through. Morgan still looking for more, but doesn't get all of the weak spots. And so the challenge is going to be unanswered.
Good amount of damage though onto Berserker there, and now looking for Dudu.
Okay, well, he's going to be able to put down the procession. Those kitty cats are adorable, and just walks his way up. Does have to use the flash in order to keep himself safe. And what about Shovel Smash? Like Dark Rites or something?
Wait, it's not called Shovel Smash?
It's not called Shovel Smash! All right, down goes the Dark Procession.
Oh, the
now
cat
Dudu
fight
is in trouble. Yeah, it is indeed a cat fight. There's another Maiden picked up Closer. That is cheating! And now Dudu is going to get demolished. And look at it! Oh, it's 2 Maidens on the Rift at the one time. It's too much Maidening. No one's Maidenless today. It's not happening.
Tragic there, Dudu falling prey to his own.
Well, now that is going to be the 3rd dragon of the game as well, as Polo moving on in here. And you know that he wants to ult Pioshik away, but Life is taking so much damage, hype landing everything. And now it's Pioshik's turn. Down as the Raptor. Let's have the smite, of course, as now the Glacial Prison that was stolen away is going to guarantee the chain lash damage as Gravity Field, sorry, is going. Oh, bothersome. Humbug is going to push Pioshik away. Glacial Prison, another well-named ability, is going to be thrown out here. Cause looking for a little bit more follow-up. It looks like this red buff will do.
It's like, oh yeah, I'm watching it ironically. No, you're not.
No, you're not. You just love it.
You watch it the same way everyone else does.
Exactly. And there's a reason why they keep making them. Because a lot of people find joy. And that's what it is in the end. As we find joy watching Shelly headbutt this turret and Bro deal with it.
Just half of what we say.
Whoa, there's a flash! They're saving us from the lack of anything. Okay, never mind. It's disengaged. Polo says no. We are not having action this game.
Regardless of what happens in this game, Paulo has been stepping up.
Oh,
He got
yeah.
a lot of criticism last week, but he's been having a great one. And as much as this looks really doom and gloom because Handback's going to be late, okay, I don't feel as bad for getting it wrong because I was kind of also right.
You were right in the past. If I asked that question a few years ago, you would have been okay. It's okay, there's a bit of an engage as Paulo just gets himself out. Makes his way over towards Morgan, who's a team fighting Fiora. Not sure about that one, but he's got Pioshik out of here. Dudu now in trouble as well, who's also a split pusher, somehow trying to team fight. And we all know that that does not go well unless you're already winning. And Morgan is making use of that.
Well, actually, he got a clutch riposte. It wasn't a stun, but the attack speed slow on a Berserker.
5-1 grub stats.
Oh, so
absolutely doomed. As Humbug is now in trouble. That is a big shutdown, actually, as they do manage to hook him up. But now, can Berserker survive? As the Killer Instinct comes in here for Closer, he can stick to anyone he wants to. And let's see who he chooses. As no, never mind. They don't manage to get the lockdown.
Subscribe and create. Get a VPN, bro. That's what I did.
Exactly. That's what I did.
Dedicated to the cause.
Well, Closer is also looking for an angle. Gets on top of Bulldog here with the depth charge, but maybe it's not enough. Killer Instinct from Berserker gets him to the fight, but Life is just on the floor. Dudu is now team fighting as Yorick once again. Morgan looking for an angle. The Dark Procession. And Hype just arcane shifts out of it. It's very cute, though.
I love
really a lot of work here as Dudu down to 50%. The Maiden, it's attacking Polu, and the Void Seeker not going to seek anything. Closer now caught on a flank angle, but the Bros, they're focusing. They're looking for the Baron, and they'll take it. Another Dark Procession that does nothing.
But it was a good disengage Dark Procession. Unfortunately, Baron does go over the Bro.
Yeah, they didn't really want to disengage, did they?
This is a great angle.
They've caught Polu, or have they? As here's the hijack of the Chaos Storm. In comes Dudu. They're teleporting in, and he's out. He's out again immediately. My God, the AoE. These wallets are so powerful, and of course, Polu survives with about 0 health. The Grand Starfall, and he's in to the Yorick cage. The Dark Procession to hold him back, but everyone's dead.
He's not being ironic. That's what we learned here today.
Yes, we did. We also learned that Grand Procession is adorable, but unfortunately it does not help you win games of League of Legends. The Nexus turrets are going to fall. The Nexus to follow suit. Another stolen Maiden will take down the Nexus, and look at that.
They were kind of getting these objectives I felt they had no right to.
Yeah, it was like a come-from-behind victory. As we're going to have a listen, as it's a cacophony here in the Bro comms. As soon as the fight starts, everything goes quiet.
That ult value was massive.
Yeah. That's some very, very happy Bros. And Polu, super vocal. Didn't know that he was as much of a shot caller as he is, but that is great to hear from the support player. As Hype did a bajillion damage, so did Morgan. Nicely done there.
Don't be swayed, boom boom damage voters. You know, remember the fans get votes too now.
I think it's Polu and Closer, and I don't think that there is any other real choice in this game.
I think that's valid.
I think Closer's Talia was so good in game 2. That has to be a consideration, but otherwise it's President Polu. He's the...
Thank you very much, guys. This is Dear for the POM interview translation, joined by Closer on the side of OK Savings Bank Brian. Congratulations! Finally, you got your long-awaited victory. It must be so meaningful. Yeah, it was such a crucial match today, and I was so nervous, but I'm really glad that we're able to win. No, I was so nervous that I couldn't even control my facial expression. Even though game 1 was a loss, you swept games 2 and 3 for the ultimate victory. Your champion picks and the overall gameplay was full of confidence today, so what was the key point in the mid lane? In mid lane, I think I really tried to make sure that I can win lane so that I can roam around and then really get that proactive edge and prio overall in the map. And in the last game, Yorick made an appearance after 2,112 days, and many wondered about his whereabouts after the patch, and your opponent locked it in. So did you expect this move? How did you guys react to this? No, we had no idea. No one predicted this, so we were all really surprised, really.
더 듬직했던 것 같습니다.
And in the end, Morgan was like, I can counter that with Fiora. He was so confident when he said that out loud.
스스로 좀 달라진 점이 있다고 느끼시나요?
And you are now
확실히
wearing OK Savings Bank Brion's
팀에
uniform this
이렇게 오래
season.
있다
What do you
보니
think is
좀
different
이제
about
달라진
yourself?
것도 좀 어색하기도 한데 그래도 저희가 이번에 첫
You know,
해가지고
because
기대
I
잘
was-
올려서 여기서 잘 했으면 좋겠습니다.
I had been in a different team for such a long time. It did feel a little new. It was really refreshing, but I'm able to contribute to this win today, which makes me so happy. And your next opponent, you will face KT Roaster next.
에이스라고 생각해가지고
What mindset
미드가 되게
will you
중요할 것
partake
같아요.
with?
미드가 어떻게
I
되는지에
feel
따라
like
게임이 달라지지
KT
않을까
Roaster's
싶습니다.
mid laner is really the ace of the team, so I think that mid lane matchup will be the key.
내일 결혼식인데도 불구하고 응원을 와주신 팬분들
To manifest Brion's first win, a couple who's getting married tomorrow came to support you on site, and there were many foreign fans cheering for you passionately. So, any message to your fans?
이어서 너무 좋고
Because we had been losing, I'm sure that all the fans were just as surprised as we were, but I'm just so happy and so thankful for all the continuous support. Thank you so much. And that's the end of the interview with Closer, and back to the space. Thank you.